Hello and welcome to the Political Opinions podcast, where every opinion is given equal footing and political tolerance and debate are given their proper attention in a world where both are on the decline. Today, I'm doing something a little different. This episode will focus on the wider social impact of the coronavirus pandemic. I doubt anyone would say the pandemic has been a good thing. I hope, but an often overlooked impact has been changes made to social life. From working at home to changes in lifestyle, Covid-19 has greatly impacted the way we live. Now, whether that change is for better or worse is of course open for debate. The first area of interest is that of the world of work. Given the small issue that we all had to stay inside, working from home has of course become far more prevalent. There is a general belief that this increase in working from home will remain, which some view as a good thing. It allows people to find a better work-life balance than the traditional 9-to-5 job. No more people slowly wasting away as they wait to leave the office after completing their work, but rather are spending their time doing far more productive things, like wasting away in front of the TV. Now, with adults and children alike now disintegrating inside rather than outside, it also gives more time for quality family bonding. The home and family environment have been given a new breath of life, if you will, with the pandemic. Families being forced to live together has allowed relations and bonds to renew. This is a positive to many people, especially those who believe the crucial family dynamic has slowly in Western society been dying. Now, speaking of families, did you know they consist of adults and children? For those shocked by this, don't dismay, for the pandemic has had some positive impacts on children's lives. Children, for example, are no longer dictated by the clock. They have been given more time to explore other things, be it hobbies and creative endeavours. It is hoped children who have taken the initiative will be far more well-rounded, with their focus shifting solely from academia to more creative activities. Something many people feel again is missing in modern society. All of this has, to some, been beneficial to mental health. Being trapped at home all day has given people time to work on themselves. Whether it's self-discovery, meditation, or 1,000,001 other things, having time to work on yourself is almost always positive. Many people have also had to learn self-discipline, with their lives no longer being dictated by external things like work and school. Assuming therefore you're not a lazy person, this is a positive. Now, not everyone has benefited mentally, however, and as such there has been a need to express our humanity with one another. With the massive loss of life, changes in lifestyle and so on, we have all been forced to reflect on our humanity, and it is hoped that this has led to a reinvigoration of feelings of kindness, empathy, respect and so on. The impact on our fellow humans is something that was greatly needed for society. Finally, we come to something a little more obscure, that of inequality. The pandemic has exposed deep inequalities within society, be it racial, socioeconomic and so on. While inequality is not really a good thing, the awareness of it is something that is crucial to overcoming it. Without the pandemic, many of these inequalities would have remained hidden. I think it is therefore fitting to end with this. Sometimes things have to get worse before they get better, and perhaps that is something the pandemic has done for us. It does of course go without saying that a pandemic is not always good. Surprising, I know. And there have also been surprisingly negative impacts. Take work, for example. Some people forced to work at home may feel isolated and left out from others. Socialising with co-workers makes many jobs more bearable and prevents feeling like robots. This is something many people have missed by being forced to work from home. Furthermore, inequalities exist. For example, some employers may have furloughed women more in an assumption that they have children to look after. If this is against their will, it's not really a good thing. Then, although we may have more family time, again that is not always good. For example, parents have been left with little to no support for their children. Before, parents could just dump their kids at school and be done with them for the day. But now they must care for their kids full time at home while also having to work. This is an increased amount of pressure, and therefore again not really a positive. And on a far more serious note, children living in problematic and potentially abusive homes may have been trapped and face more threats than before. Children in general too have also had a bad time. A crucial part of childhood is socialising with others, playing, learning and enjoying life before the pain and suffering of working. Children have lost this with the pandemic. Socialising online simply is not the same as in person, and being trapped at home all the time may have led to many children becoming isolated. Now, this issue of isolation has wider implications for mental health. No one, except for the odd Reddit admin or Discord moderator, enjoys being alone all the time. Being unable to see friends, family and other humans may be detrimental to the mental health of many people. Just as dogs are social creatures and get sad when they are alone, so too do humans. Furthermore, a lack of routine may have made it hard for people to motivate themselves to do even the most basic of things. Mental health, just like physical health therefore, has been harmed by the pandemic. At this point, I would really love to say that all of these issues have bonded humanity together in unison, but that isn't the case. The pandemic has shown us the worst side of humanity, be it hoarding toilet paper and food for whatever reason, to general selfishness over health and hygiene. Many people have shown a darker side, which goes against this idea of general humanity. Perhaps it was fear, or perhaps some people are just bad. Either way, not everyone has reacted to COVID-19 with an intention to help others. Now we'll finish this cheerful topic with the question of inequality. While the pandemic may have exposed inequality, it also in many cases has worsened it. Be it ethnic minorities having higher death rates and increased unemployment, to a worsening in the gap between rich and poor. The pandemic has not impacted everyone the same, and in many respects we have moved backwards in our march toward an equal and fair society. Things may need to get worse before they get better, but if it's one step forward and two steps back, what results is actually a net loss, which, for people who don't know what that means, is a bad thing. If we now look at the comparison between the points. Firstly, on whether the impact on working has been good or bad. Those believing it is good would say more people can work from home from before, and it's easier to find a work-life balance. However, those disagreeing would say many people miss the social element of work and have become isolated, and different types of people have treated the work differently and have been treated differently by employers. On whether the impact to the family and home has been good. Some say that families are now able to spend more time together, and the home environment has once again become important. However, those disagreeing would say parents are left with little to no support for their children, and families that are problematic, particularly for children, are worse off than before. On this general impact on children, those saying it's been good argue children's lives are no longer dictated by the clock, and there is now far more room for creativity and hobbies. However, those disagreeing would say children have become isolated from their fellow peers, and this is a critical part of children's lives which they are now missing out on. On the question of mental health, some believe the pandemic has given people time to work on themselves, and the lack of regulation has taught people self-discipline, which is positive. However, not everyone agrees, and some believe being isolated for so long has been detrimental to people's mental health, and this lack of routine has made it hard for people to motivate themselves. Then on this question of humanity, Some believe we have all been forced to reflect on our humanity with one another, and this has led to a reintroduction of feelings of kindness, respect, empathy, and so on. However, those believing it's been bad have argued that the pandemic has shown us the negative side to humans. Hoarding, selfishness, and others have become more prevalent, and people have shown their true colours, which are not always good. And then finally, on this question of inequality in wider society. Some believe the pandemic has exposed deep inequalities within society, and this awareness is critical in overcoming said inequality. It has exposed the issue, now we need to solve it. However, those disagreeing would say the pandemic has worsened the inequality within society. Between ethnicities, incomes, and so on, we are worse off than before. Unlike many other issues that I've covered, there is no true black and white, good and bad approach to this discussion. Instead, it's just a mix of many shades of grey. As such, to say some believe the impacts have been solely good and some solely bad misses the wider point. And so I think it is fairer to say there have been positive and have been negative impacts for this pandemic on social life, which perhaps may offer a silver lining for the biggest grey cloud many of us have ever seen, or perhaps maybe another rain cloud yet to pass overhead. In general, those supporting this kind of idea generally that the pandemic has had positive impacts on social life believe that essentially it's given us a second chance. It's brought back many ideas which we lost and opened us to new ideas. It's a fresh start, if you will. However, those disagreeing would say that it's just really been bad for people. There may have been positives, but they are outweighed by just the general badness that comes, surprisingly again, with a pandemic. On the bright side at least, assuming you're not an anti-vaxxer, the vaccine means we're hopefully on our way out. I for one am hopeful for the future, but believe it's pertinent we don't forget the costs of this virus, and that we make the most out of the few but prevalent opportunities that have been granted to us by it. That's it for today. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments or on Twitter. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe, follow, whatever platform you're on, I don't really know. As always, be sure to check back on Monday for another episode. Thank you all for listening, and I hope to see you soon.